Hello, Collateral Gaming listeners. Chazzle Dazzle here from the Trial by Error Variety Show podcast. I just wanted to take a few seconds to invite you guys over to what we do. No, it's not video games, but we do invite really awesome and unique bands from all over the world. We dig deep into their souls and find really cool stories to tell you, and there's tons of music every week, so subscribe to us wherever you subscribe to your podcast. We look forward to having you.
I'm Ashley Chancellor.
I'm Zachary Gio.
This is Collateral Gaming. Welcome back to Collateral Gaming, the only video game podcast that matters. And we are here for part 2 of our episode on Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima. That's how it's actually pronounced.
Mom's making sushi.
Mom's making sushi. Mom's sushi. It's kind of like mom's spaghetti, but you know.
She's nervous.
Bum 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 bum. Okay. Anyway. All right. So when we left off, we were kind of getting into the gameplay and the story of Ghost of Tsushima. We're gonna have a little bit more to talk about on both of those topics, and we're also going to be talking about the overall execution of Ghost of Tsushima, and also where could this go in the future? What could we see out of a sequel? You know what I mean? But I think Zach actually has a little bit of news to share.
Oh, yeah. I kind of shared this a little bit on the bonus round that we did, but this is pretty cool. Do you want me to start with the my personal thing? Or
yeah.
Okay. Okay, so this is really awesome, but after talking with some of the workers, managers and writers at ZeldaDungeon.net, I am very pleased to announce that I have taken a position as a writer/content creator for ZeldaDungeon.net. And this is really huge because Ash and I have grown up absolutely loving Zelda, and the fact that I get to do this podcast with him and then just go and create content and basically live a life that's revolving around the Legend of Zelda, it's pretty incredible. I'm really blessed to have this opportunity, and eventually I'm going to try to get Ash in there too, because they're always looking for new content creators, and Ash would be perfect for it. But yeah, this is a blessing. I'm super excited, and I can't wait to see where the series goes. This year is the 35th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda, and I am more than stoked to absolutely more than stoked to get on board with this. Shout out to Andy Spiteri and Allison Aletha from Zelda Dungeon and the Champions Cast, which is a podcast that focuses solely on Zelda. If you guys haven't heard that, you should check it out. It's really good. It's on all platforms. I listen to it quite a bit. But yeah, that's my big share. I'm really excited. I am very blessed and grateful for the opportunity. But yeah.
Yeah, we like Zach mentioned, we mentioned that on our last bonus round episode, game recommendations too, but I just wanted to get that out there on the main episode as well, because that is such a cool opportunity. And man, if I do get the opportunity to work with you on that, I would be a happy boy. I would be like a giddy schoolboy.
We'd be a good team on it too, because we've got a lot of stuff that we can. When we do episodes on Zelda on this podcast, we do it for every single episode, but there's something special about The Legend of Zelda, and it just causes us to go all out, and I love it. It's just no holds barred on these episodes, and I like shooting the shit and talking about good games. So
100%, dude.
110%. Don't give me that weak shit.
Anybody that knows Collateral Gaming knows we are super big fans of Zelda. I mean, that is both Zach's and my favorite video game series of all time, right?
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Followed closely by Metroid.
I was about to say followed closely by Metroid.
Yeah, but there's not enough Metroid content to keep up with the Zelda content, and until there is, Zelda's the flagship mainstay game series for us. I don't know if I said that correctly. If I didn't, who gives a fuck?
But you know what? Another game that is going to enter my favorite video games of all time is Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Man, this is another just one-off game that just impressed me so much as a standalone game, like God of War did. to really warrant being on, like probably my top 5 games, top 10 games of all time. I mean, it's not fair because technically if you were to take my top 5 games of all time, they'd all be like Zelda games. But barring that, saying the Zelda series as a whole is number 1, yeah, definitely. But Ghosts of, I guess we'll get right into it, right where we were at before.
Yeah, we didn't really get a chance to dive into the story and like where it starts and how this whole thing just kind of snowballs into becoming. We just kind of talked a lot about the side content. But yeah, in the year 1274, a Mongolian invasion fleet led by the Khotan clan lands on the Japanese island of Tsushima. And Jin Sekai, which is our main character, joins with the island's local samurai to sort of try and repel this invasion alongside Lord Shimura, which is leading the samurais into battle. And this absolutely ends in disaster. Hardly any of them survive. Jin is left to die on the battlefield while Lord Shimura is captured. And I was blown away just by the beginning of this game. The opening was they just literally threw you in, and it was kind of like other advanced games where they kind of treat you like you've played a video game before. They were like, okay, you're here, have at it.
Basically,
do it. There's like some minor tutorial, like do this, press this to do this, like, but you're kind of just in it. And the whole beginning of the game. Oh, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was just going to say, basically, once this happens, this whole sequence kind of dies out, and Jin is left for dead. Lord Shimura is captured. You awaken and to find that you were grievously wounded and found by a local thief named Yuna, who kind of sheltered you and nursed you back to health. And in that moment, she kind of tells Jin that most of Tsushima has already fallen to the Mongol invasion, and that they're kind of on their own trying to figure out what to do. So they... there's a few people that they have to recruit, but before that, they kind of just storm the Khotan stronghold, and Jin tries to, at Castle Kanata, when he tries to rescue Lord Shimura, he's defeated by Khotan himself and thrown over the bridge, and that's where the game really gets going.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful intro to a game, and it's just... It's wonderful. So oh man, go ahead, Ash, before I go cataclysmic.
No, you're good. I mean, that's basically where the game picks up after that and there's that beautiful montage moment. So that whole section of storming Komodo Beach, which is a real life historical event where 80 samurai faced a Mongol invasion and there were no survivors. In this game, Jin and Lord Shimura are the survivors, right? But anyway, after that whole prologue segment, that one scene where you're riding on horseback going through the fields of the pampas grass is just beautiful. And the music and that was the moment where I knew this was going to be a fantastic fucking game. That's the moment where I just fell in love, this is a beautiful game. And after that whole section that you played that already is tugging at your heartstrings and making you emotionally invested in these characters, and you're already getting a feel for how Jin, the relationship that Jin has with his uncle. There's even some flashback sequences that are used to kind of teach you how to the tutorial segment for sword fights, and for dueling, which really helps out. And you're already in this whirlwind, and Jin as a character, you're already starting to get a feeling for his motivations and his character as a whole. And throughout the rest of the game, of course, Jin, as we explained in the last podcast, has to struggle with this idea of holding to the samurai code, the Bushido, or basically doing whatever is necessary to protect his people. Mm-hmm. And if you know Bushido, there are basically 8 aspects of honor. This game decided to focus on 2 of those: honor and loyalty. And the most important thing for a samurai was loyalty. Loyalty was just loyalty to your master. And in Jean's case, that's the Jito. So that's why it's so heartbreaking whenever Jean ends up going against Lord Shimura and storming, Castle Shimura on his own and resorting to tactics that Shimura doesn't agree on. That's a big deal in their culture, right? I mean,
yeah.
The samurai's ultimate loyalty is to his master, and he has to do what his master does no matter what. And ultimately, this was the downfall of the samurai. And looking back in historical context, I was watching the director's commentary that was included in the digital deluxe edition. I went ahead and I upgraded, and I watched this whole director's commentary, which, by the way, is fantastic. One of the things that I found out was a real life Kamakura era historian was impressed by the level of detail and authenticity that this game had to offer. And Jean's struggle, his inner struggle with conforming to the samurai code or versus, doing what needs to be done, what is was a real life thing. There were a sect of samurai that felt that it was not as important to be loyal to your master, but to do whatever was necessary to protect the people, because if there's no people to protect, who are you? A samurai historically was willing to die defending, being loyal to his master. It didn't matter. And upon dying, his family would get a plot of land. So ultimately, that was what was better. The samurai were willing to lay down their lives. That's just what they did. But, around...
And they kind of really stick that to you, too,
yes.
Showing all of the flashbacks to Jin's training with his uncle about honor and decency. And of course, they walk you through how to, use the different weapons and stuff like that. But it's the interactions between Shimura and Jin that really, just pound that historical accuracy into you and that code of honor and loyalty. And honestly, those cutscenes kind of lay the foundation for what is the most mind-boggling and emotional story in a story game that I have played to this day. And that's what makes this game so beautiful. There's so much... I mean, it literally, the setting of this game is 1274 in...
Kamakura era Japan, yeah.
Kamakura era Japan, yeah, that's what it is. And it's to the letter, minus, Jin surviving, even though they all died. It's accurate and it's beautifully done.
Well, there's some historical inaccuracies that are done for creative liberty, like some of the armor and the use of the hawacha and some other things, widespread use of the katana, are not technically historically accurate, but within reason. They want to tell a story. And like I said, this, as we mentioned in the last podcast, this game received a perfect score in Famitsu. That means something, That means that they were... the Japanese were thoroughly impressed, even with some liberties being taken, They really felt like this game... And Kamakura era Japan is actually one that's not as well told in media. Usually they like to focus on Edo period Japan, I think, is the main one. But this is kind of an interesting history. But so like we said before, Sucker Punch wanted to focus on the Mongol invasion of Tsushima and the Mongol invasion of Japan. Felt that was just a perfect setting to just dive into this story and see a character who had to deal with that struggle of, okay, if I hold to my honor, if I only focus on loyalty, we're gonna die. Which is what actually happened.
Not going to get this done. Yeah. Yep. And that's... Dude, oh my God.
Speaking of which, okay,
No,
and we talked about this outside of the podcast, but we teased it before. What ending choice did you pick? Because at the end of the game... sorry, I guess I'll provide a little bit of context before I let you say that. But at the end of the game, you have the choice whether to spare or kill Lord Shimura, right? Because Lord Shimura, at the end of the game, you've defeated Khoten Khan, you've killed him, beheaded him, left him on a burning ship to die, and all is good, except Shimura has been told by the Shogun that they want Jin's head now. And because Jin is becoming the Ghost of Tsushima is a threat to the hierarchy of the samurai and to the hierarchy of the Shogun, right? So, so at this point, Jin is a target, and Clan Sakai has been disbanded. No matter what choice you pick, that doesn't change the outcome. But Lord Shimura has been tasked to kill Jin. And so you duel him, you win, and then you're given a choice. Shimura wants you to kill him, give him a warrior's death, or you can choose to spare him and fully embrace the role of the ghost and say fuck the samurai code. Go ahead.
That's what I chose to do. I chose to spare him and give one final fuck you to Lord Shimura. Just considering the fact that, killing him would have given him a warrior's death, but honestly, with everything that happens in the game, killing him would have been a mercy, one that he did not deserve. And Personally, once I play through it again, because I will, I'm gonna do the new game plus. I'll kill him just to experience that different ending, because I'm pretty sure I haven't seen the other ending, but it doesn't matter what happens. Family is family, and I'm pretty sure if you choose to execute Lord Shimura, there's going to be some sort of emotional sequence where like Jin just loses his mind and starts crying, or like holds him close as he's dying in his arms and just lets him go and then fully embraces the role. But considering the fact that no matter what happened, despite the choice, I chose to spare him. Just as one final, screw the code. I'm out of here. Yeah. I'll just do what I want, and I'll protect this people on my own account. These people, sorry.
I'm not gonna lie, it was a hard choice for me. Part of me part of me really wanted to kill him, like he wanted to. Because ultimately that would be the last way of Jin honoring the bond that they had, and maybe this would be the last samurai thing he did before severing ties. But no, I thought at this point, Jin's character, I felt like he just didn't care about that anymore. He was above that. He was thinking, I'm no longer bound by this, and I don't think the right thing to do is to die a warrior's death. I think the right thing to do is to continue living so you can help protect the people that depend on you. And also, that's his only family he has left, and he mentions that very early on. And I respect that. And I don't know, maybe Shimura's going to commit seppuku anyway because he failed in his task, but as Jin, I can have good conscience saying, I didn't have a part in that. Mm-hmm. I didn't make that decision. And maybe it causes Lord Shimura to think, what am I going to do? I'm really interested to see what happens in the sequel. Because, I think there's definitely going to be a sequel. And what is going to be the canon choice?
Yeah, because let's see. Like, you chose to spare him and then you just walk away. What if there was a cutscene where as you're walking away, Shimura doesn't accept your choice and commits seppuku? Being that he did not, that could completely set up a story all on its own for a second game where Lord Shimura comes to his senses and they work together to clear Jin's name and restore ultimate peace to Tsushima without a worry of a ghost out there. Because in actuality, Jin's heart and the reason he raises his blade, the reason he draws his sword is to protect his people and his land. And it was his family until, Shimura disbanded Clan Sekai and ordered his execution.
Or the Shogun did.
Shogun, sorry. Blah, blah, blah.
No, you're good. Shimura was acting under the Shogun's orders. And the way I see it, in my personal opinion, and I guess we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves here. I normally talk about, the future later, but fuck it. So I think
integration, my man, integration.
I think a future sequel would probably look outside of Japan, or outside of Tsushima, and go to mainland Japan with Jin kind of encountering the Mount, because the Mongol invasion moved on from there, right? So I think it would be cool. And plus, we've already seen the Tsushima Island. Are they really going to do the same map twice? So I think the logical progression here, if there is a sequel, maybe this is a one and done tale and they don't want to go further, but I would like to see Jin kind of move to the mainland and join the forces with there. They could call it like something like something of Tsushima that that like shows his lineage back to Tsushima. He's a warrior from Tsushima, but now he's fighting in mainland Japan now, where Tales of the Ghost have actually reached there, and people are kind of aware because he's achieved this legendary status, like the legendary quests that you go on. Did you do any of those? Any of like the legendary missions where you recover like a legendary armor or bow or?
I did what I could to get through the story as fast as I could to record part 1, and ever since then, I've been playing a lot of Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh,
and
hell yeah!
I've also been playing a lot of just Overwatch, Rocket League, that kind of stuff. I wanted to get the story done so that we could talk about it, but when I do my new game plus, I'm going to try to do everything in the game. Because I won't be sorry. I I won't be pushing to try to, get some content in my brain.
Okay. So I 100%ed this game. I did everything that this game had to offer, and I also platinumed it. The only thing I haven't done is I haven't gone too much into the Legends gameplay, and I've started my New Game Plus, but I haven't beat it yet. But I've gotten, I'm well into the first act, and I'm playing it in Kurosawa mode now, with Lethal Plus difficult, and man, it is hard. Those sword duels are even harder when you're in black and white, because you can't see the blue versus red and glints, but there is a sound that plays, and you also kind of memorize the patterns and stuff, but it is much harder. And I found myself like in a lot of cases instantly reacting and wanting to parry when I'm supposed to dodge, or dodge when I'm supposed to parry. Uh, and so it makes it a lot more difficult, because you actually have to watch the enemy, pay attention to what they're about to do, and then react at the last split second, and you can do a perfect parry or a perfect dodge.
Yeah, Kurosawa mode kind of gives you... I mean, obviously we couldn't do it ourselves, but it kind of gives you the notion of how to react as a samurai.
Yes.
How to react as a swordsman. And it's pretty cool. Can't say that, or can't say otherwise. It's pretty dope. But Kurosawa mode, I like it. It's just the graininess.
It's something to play on your second playthrough.
Yeah, it's the graininess kind of bothered me in the beginning. I wanted to kind of experience this game for the first time in full color, and I didn't do it in Japanese. I played it in English. Just because I started the game in English, and I'm very particular about my languages. If I start something in English, I want to finish it in English, because there's different voice actors for the languages. So, it's a different experience altogether. So once I do New Game Plus, I might do it in Japanese all the way through. I don't know.
Yeah, I've played through both now, and I think that they're both excellent. By the way, did you know, and I didn't know this on our last episode, Kazuya Nagai, the voice actor for Jin Sakai, is the voice actor for Roronoa Zoro in One Piece.
Well, I don't watch One Piece, but that is dope. And that means that he's getting good work, and I'm very happy for him, because Ghost of Tsushima and One Piece are both very huge. So kudos to him.
One Piece is one of those anime that I have had a lot of difficulty getting into, but like mid-story arc, I tend to enjoy it more. And Zoro is one of the characters that I actually enjoy more from the story. And I decided to watch a couple episodes and see. And yeah, I mean, I can definitely tell that's the same voice actor that plays Jin Sakai in the Japanese version, which is the version I played my first playthrough through. But now I'm kind of experiencing an English dub, or sorry, not really a dub, but just the English version. And because that's the original version, the Japanese is the dub in this case. But it's interesting to see the characters, hear their voices played differently. In fact, I've been kind of switching in and out of Kurosawa mode in my New Game Plus, sometimes to experience the game in English with full color. Because I will say, I think your first playthrough of this game should be in color, because one, it's much, much easier. And two, the game is so beautiful. You're kind of missing out. But playing it in Kurosawa mode is something that you can turn on for like a little bit, or play through like in New Game Plus, on and off, and it's a lot of fun, because it really does remind you a lot of those old Kurosawa films, like Seven Samurai, like Yojimbo.
Yeah, and it also, once you've done a lot of the stuff in the game, or at least visited most of the parts of Tsushima, and you've seen the whole island for its beauty and its glory, you can kind of get a different perspective on it in Kurosawa mode. Like, how would this look if I was watching a movie called Ghost of Tsushima? Like an old Kurosawa-style film, and it's just beautiful to think about, because when you put that much detail into different rendering modes for a game, it just shows the level of intimacy and care that was put into a game. Like, if you played The Last of Us Part 2, once you finish the game, you unlock these modifiers for the story that will allow you to literally play the game in almost any render mode possible. Like, you could do like 1980s punk, you could do everyone's a zombie, and the actual infected are humans, but we're not talking about that. It's really cool to see the level of detail that's put into just the render modes and the way the game is played, rather than just the story and the side content. Because Ghost of Tsushima has hours and hours and hours of playable content, but you can do it in multiple render modes, and that took a ton of time to put together. It's just, Sucker Punch did such an amazing job with this game, and it's still a baby. Honestly, it came out When did it come out? Like June, July of
June or July of last year. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's still a baby.
I remember when we did our infamous Second Son, which was one of the very first episodes we did on Collateral Cinema, Collateral Gaming. we Ghost of Tsushima had been announced, but I don't think there was a lot of information about it yet. And that was a good 2 years ago. So I remember talking about it and not having known a whole lot about it, but knowing it was a Japanese game. But what I'm really impressed by is, again, the level of authenticity of being a samurai game, but also Gene is kind of a proto ninja, right? And this is an era before the ninja came about, and so that's why he's called the Ghost. But you get to use kunai, you get to use smoke bombs, you get to use black powder bombs and wind chimes and firecrackers, and all the ghost weapons are really a lot of fun to use, and you really feel like both a samurai and a ninja at the same time, and it's awesome. And you really get a feel for that not only when you go through the story, but if you do any of the side quest content, because of course there's a lot of outposts all throughout Tsushima.
A lot of outposts.
I pretty much did those as I came across them.
I love the outposts too because they give you these little bonus objectives.
Yes.
Like you can that make them that much harder. So you have to do the outposts most of the time, unless you're just a god at this game. You have to do them multiple times to get these objectives right because they're difficult. Like they're not just sneeze on the grass. It's not like that kind of stuff. Sneeze on the grass with your sword. No, there are times where you have to like sneak up and kill like what are they called? The commanders of each outpost, like the leaders.
It's like I think they call them leaders. Yeah.
Leaders. Yeah, but you have to like specifically kill them in some way. Like there will be times where you have to kill a certain
observe
amount of enemies
them
with a certain type of with a certain type of stance. You know, it's really cool. And the stances in this game. This game. Yeah. They're so much fun. Oh my gosh. And
and switching from one stance to another, like mid combo, it just really feels so fleshed out and cool. And it's just such an awesome rush fighting against all these enemies that, like we mentioned before, open combat is just as fun as assassinating is, as stealth gameplay is.
Yeah. But just don't bite off more than you can chew, because open combat, especially in lethal mode, gets really difficult when there's a lot of people there.
Yeah, in lethal mode, 2 hits will kill you. 1 hit will put you on like the brink of death, and then the other hit will put you down. And if you have enough resolve to do Iron Will, you can do that and kind of get yourself back up again. But it's very difficult.
It is indeed.
Yeah, but most enemies will go down in 1 or 2 hits as well. So that's what makes it better. But it fundamentally changes the way that you play the game. So I recommend that once you've kind of played through the game in one mode, maybe in your New Game Plus, try it in Lethal Plus, because it really changes the game and it actually feels more realistic,
Yep. Except for, the boss battles and stuff. Those big duels with main characters, and they're inhuman in Lethal Plus mode.
Yeah, the duels,
apparently.
You don't get a lot of, it still takes quite a few hits to get them in, but less. But I had a lot of difficulty with it, because like I said, you fuck up, then you're done. And it's hard.
Which, works for, samurai history, because if they screwed up, they were dead.
Yeah, it's really realistic. Like you're in a real duel. So if you feel like trying to experience that lethal mode, I would definitely recommend it once you've really, really gotten some experience with the game and you've really understand the dodge, block, and parry system.
Yeah.
Like again, you really have to be on point, and you have to, like for me, I have to turn my brain off and I have to specifically focus on the enemy. It's really difficult for me because I want to do something and I have it in my head. Okay, I'm going to dodge. Okay, I'm going to parry before it actually happens. And that gets me into trouble. So you have to actually sit there, watch the enemy, wait for what they're to do and react in like a split second. And with whether you're going to dodge or whether you're going to parry. And it really makes a difference because you can't parry unblockable attacks. At the same time, if you try to dodge an attack that it was parryable, usually they'll get you on the second hit because they usually will follow up in 2 hits. And so you have to really either do a dodge roll or dodge twice or dodge and parry. It's difficult. You really have to think, and you're on your feet constantly. I really, really, really enjoy the combat in this game. I thought it was done well. Again, this is something that really feels like Assassin's Creed in a lot of ways, but
It's more fluid.
Assassin's Creed, if they actually took their time and developed a game that was fully fleshed out. Because we mentioned this before in our Valhalla episode, this is a great game. It's a great concept. It's just, I feel like Ubisoft really wastes their potential by developing these games so quickly. Imagine if they had the amount of time that was spent on a game like this. And we finally got to see it.
Exactly.
And that's what this game is being compared to a lot, is it's being compared to as the feudal Japan Assassin's Creed that everybody has always wanted.
But it's better because it's more detailed, and these companies like Ubisoft kind of focus, they produce these games so quickly because it's becoming more about money than it is about entertaining the players that support the company. Like that's why it takes so long for Nintendo to put out Zelda and Metroid games, because when they finally come out, they're masterpieces. They're so much fun. I mean, they announced Breath of the Wild in 2013. I always go back to Breath of the Wild. That will be a common theme in this podcast. But it took them 6 years to develop Breath of the Wild. Why do you think Grand Theft Auto 5 is one of the most popular games of all time? Because it took them like 7 or 8 years to put it together. And there's so much stuff that you can do, and people still play it religiously to this day.
Yes.
And that game's been out for years. It has been out for years.
Skyrim, same thing.
Games like Rocket League, games like Overwatch, games that have been out since 2015 and 2016 have so much replayability because there's so much time and effort put into them, and they're free to play. That's the crazy thing. They open these games up for people to enjoy, and they make it so little about the money and so much about the enjoyment. Of course, there's like in-game purchases that you can make, but I mean, those are mainly cosmetic. It's not pay to win like a lot of these games are. Like, that's why I hate the Star Wars Battlefront games, because if you have a bunch of money and you flesh it out, you'll do really good. But if you're just trying to play the game to enjoy it and you don't have a lot of money to put into it, you're probably going to get crapped on.
Yeah.
And that's why games like Ghost of Tsushima, most of the stuff that you're looking for is cosmetic. You don't have to pay anything to increase your ability to win battles against the Mongols. You just have to put time and effort into the game and learn the combat, which is so fluid. That's what I was going to try to get into earlier. Like, the combat in this game is amazing.
Yeah.
And like you said, they don't put a lot of time into the Assassin's Creed games, and so a lot of it feels clunky, overdone, or you're just overpowered when you shouldn't be. And when games are a challenge like this, it provides that much more intimacy and that much more enjoyable time. It adds to the replayability of the game. I think I'll probably play Ghost of Tsushima like 2 or 3 times just because of how fluid and how influential this game is on future games to come. Because yes, I know that there is some things that could have been better about this game, like the smoothness of the character animations, but the cutscenes were priceless.
Yes.
And they transitioned well to the mission/story elements that happened after that. But imagine a game like this coming out on the PS5 or whenever the PS6 comes out or the next Xbox. Imagine when they start releasing this stuff for like huge next-gen consoles and PCs. Imagine just the level of detail. It's almost going to look like it's happening before your very eyes in real life, but you're looking at a screen making it happen. It's mind-blowing. And Ghost of Tsushima, while I'll say it's damn near a perfect game. It's really good.
It is damn near perfect.
It's so good. Just this is kind of a peek into the future of these types of games, and it is breathtaking.
This is on the PS4.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine what
they had like.
No,
Dude,
go for it.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was saying, imagine what we're gonna see on the PS5.
Dude, oh god, the next God of War game, dude.
Oh, you're making me come.
Stop that.
Stop.
Cease your ramblings, Ashley.
But an unexpected hit from Sucker Punch too, the developer of Sly Cooper and Infamous. I would
really Sucker
not
Punched
have
us.
expected this. And I'm just saying those are great franchises. This is just so out of left field. It's so different from anything they've ever done. And yet, we mentioned this before, some of the platforming can be kind of seen here, so I can tell, but I wouldn't have guessed it. You know what I mean? And it just shows what a varied developer they are. They just have such a broad range of ability, and I really enjoy that. When you play Ubisoft games, for instance, you can kind of tell, okay, this is a Ubisoft game. And that's not to say that that's bad. Stick to what you know. Stick to what's good for you. But I also respect developers that can really break out of their shell and just produce just about anything. It shows kind of the talent that you have. It's like actors, right? Some actors or directors even in the film world, you know, are good with certain styles and they're typecast and they're really, really, really good at that one particular style. But you really respect the actors who can do and directors who can do multiple types of movies and multiple types of roles. It shows you that they're not just good at one particular thing. They're just good at the actual, you know, the actual job.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
And I mean, why rush perfection?
you can't.
You know, literally none of these games are ever going to be perfect. It's never. That's why we say it's a damn near perfect game, because there will literally never
The perfect game doesn't
ever
exist.
it doesn't exist. That's why perfection in real life doesn't exist. You know, you can have really damn good recordings of music. You can get a 100 on an assignment, but that's minor stuff. When it comes to art and true passion that's like shown through these games or through a piece of music like a symphony, it's the flaws
Yeah.
that show progress and show the ability for the future to take hold. Because with a game like Ghost of Tsushima, it doesn't just provide an experience that's breathtaking, historically accurate in a lot of ways, kind of, and tells a beautiful story, but it also opens up a path for future generations of games.
Yes.
And like eventually we're going to grow old and we'll still play games, but at some point, you know, our time will be done. And I know that that's deep. Sorry to get deep on this episode. But these type of games are what inspire young designers to move forward into this path and start creating stuff like this. That's another reason why it's so fun to sit here and talk about this kind of stuff, because we know we can see the possibilities. When it comes to video games, we're woke. And I don't say that as a joke. I know that that's kind of funny to say, but it's true, man. We've grown up playing stuff that has impacted us. Like, I cried like a baby the first time I played The Last of Us.
Yeah.
It broke my heart on so many levels. The relationship between Zelda and Link in Skyward Sword, I wanted them to be together. I was so emotional when Fi left and went back into the sword to sleep. And when you're faced with the choice of whether to spare your uncle or kill him, you're literally sitting there in an emotional dilemma. Like, how am I going to feel about this choice?
Right.
Regardless, the outcome is the same, but one path takes you down an emotional roller coaster, and the other one can potentially lead to guilt, grief, doubt. Should I have done this? Should I have done the other thing? And if they make a sequel to this, we will probably see that.
Yeah.
With Jin Sakai. You know, the only thing is, if they make a sequel, will they have branching paths at the start of the game? Like, what if they took your save data from your most recent file, and based on the choice you made, that's how the story progresses in the next game?
Well, there's precedent for that. Infamous did that.
Mm-hmm.
Between Infamous 1 and Infamous 2, actually taking your save data from the first game and determining, you know, you could come into the game, kind of the same thing as Mass Effect, with all those decisions already made and your character already like that. So I wouldn't be surprised, but there's still going to be, I'm sure, like a canon choice. And in my opinion, I think it's spare. And that's the choice that I made as well, if I didn't make that clear before, because for me, the game was a transformation of Gene. Of
An awakening.
An awakening, right? He's shedding the old skin of samurai and needless deaths by honor, and he's transforming into this new role. And I decided that it was best to embrace that role, to be the ghost, and to become something new.
You are a samurai, bound to uphold the code. To live, fight, and die with honor. If you stray from this path, what will you become? A storm is coming.
Jin! Come on, Jin!
this game kind of, it's not just an amazing game, it's inspiring because a lot of people think that their life is kind of, predestined for them. Just like Jin Sakai grew up in the way of the samurai, he was scared and couldn't help his father, and it led to his father's death. And so Lord Shimura took him under his wing and taught him the way of the samurai. And so that's how, bless you, dab on him. And so that's why Jin grew up in the way of the samurai, and that's why his mind and his view of the world was so impacted by the way of the samurai, because he grew up in that belief system. But this game, like you said, is him transforming, saying that he doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to have needless death. He doesn't have to shed blood, even his own, just for honor's sake. And a lot of people who play this game can take that in stride. You can do what you want. You can make whatever you want your life to be. You can make it happen. It's just, and don't let yourself be limited, by what you think is in front of you, because you can choose to move forward regardless. And I think that that's beautiful. This game doesn't just speak in a gaming sense. It speaks in a real life sense, because you make the choice. It's up to you.
Gene literally goes through a metamorphosis. He's kind of in a cocoon and sprouts as a butterfly. What's interesting is I thought that the choices that you have to make in this game are really the one choice that you make at the end.
I immediately thought I'm going to be a beautiful butterfly.
It's funny, in the Infamous games, there were always very clear good versus evil choices. Like, you obviously knew what was good and what was bad, right? And you picked the choice that you wanted to make. But this game is interesting because it's not so clear cut. What's the right choice here? It's hard to say.
When you have a decision like this and it's not so clear cut, I think that adds to the richness of the overall narrative. I think that, I don't know, I just lost my train of thought, Ash. It literally derailed and crashed. I apologize. But, when you have clear-cut decisions like this, you obviously know which path you want to take. But when it's not so clear, you're faced with not just what choice do you want to make in the game, but you're faced with your own moral dilemma, and that's why I think this is so powerful.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, I guess kind of getting into overall execution, okay? Obviously, the graphics are beautiful. I mean, so beautiful. I don't know what else to say about it than, God, this game, you play this, you're like, this is on a PS4? This stands up to the PS5 graphics.
Yep.
And I bet this plays even better on a Pro than it did on my wimpy PS4, but...
Oh, brother, when I come out there, I will show you Ghost of Tsushima on the Pro, brother. Unless I have a PS5 by then we'll just play it on that.
Yeah. I would love to see this game get a treatment for PS5, where it's kind of, because it's right there at the end. I kind of feel like that's expected, kind of like with The Last of Us Part 2. I feel like there should be a PS5 re-release for this, but I think that they should give gamers who already have the game a choice to upgrade for a much smaller fee than having to replay the game. But definitely a great,
like they did for Valhalla. It's only a $10. Black Ops Cold War. It's only a $10 upgrade for Cold War.
Yeah, Valhalla's free, I believe, but Miles Morales and Cold War are both. Spider-Man are all, I think, $10 upgrade. But I would love to see this game get remastered for PS5. And kind of like The Last of Us Part 1 did for PS4. And it's right there, and I think that that's definitely going to happen. And it would be a great opportunity for them to capitalize on the success of the game, get a lot more people to play it that didn't play it for the first time. But I think that it would be better if they offered people who already have the game the upgrade fee as well. Even if I had to pay $20, I think that's reasonable. I would definitely pay to, and include some extra content in that. Get some extra DLC or...
I mean, the thing is, when you pay for an upgrade for a remastered game, you're not just playing the game again. You are literally playing a not revisioned or reimagined, because there's no changes to the game. It's just
remaster,
more colorful, more fluid, looks more real. It's upgraded. It looks like, it's like, imagine playing Spider-Man 2 for the PS2, and then immediately playing Spider-Man for the PS4.
You're right.
Two completely different games. But the difference between the fluidity, the characters, the voice acting, everything is just so outstanding. It's like if you've played Tony Hawk's American Wasteland or Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 on the old PlayStation 2, and then you get the remastered versions for the Xbox One, they're breathtaking. They're so much fun, and it's the same game. It just looks better. It feels better. It provides this feeling of nostalgia while also hitting all the bases for a fresh new experience.
Yeah.
Because even though it's the same game, you're still getting a new experience. You're experiencing the world of the game you're playing with a new set of eyes.
Right. No, definitely.
And I love it.
You know, as far as bugs and glitches go, there are some, but they're relatively few and far between. I think that the game is nothing that a patch can't fix, and in any way, nothing was frustrating or game breaking. Just some kind of unintentionally hilarious moments that you you might come across. But overall, the game runs very smooth. I don't really have any issues with the performance. It ran at a solid. I don't think this game has a 60 FPS mode. I think it's just 30, right?
It honestly feels more like 45.
45.
There are moments in the game where it feels very smooth. So I would say 30 is not exactly doing it justice. I feel it's more 40, 45. And I'm holding my mic for those of you who are curious. It's kind of cool. I'm just kind of adjusting it and playing with it. You can hear me scratch it.
Evidently, it runs at 30 FPS.
Really?
So the game remains at a solid 30. They wanted to opt for a better frame rate. And honestly, but you can't tell. Like some of the motion is so fluid that you'd be tricked into thinking that this is somewhere in between like a 45. It just shows a testament to the level of skill. But I'd love if we got like a remaster. I'd love for there to be like a performance mode where we got to see this game in 60 FPS, and then of course being able to play it in
fidelity mode, dude.
Yeah, and then being able to play it in 4K as well. Well, yeah.
Oh my god, dude. The day I'm able to get my hands on a PlayStation 5, because I mean, of course, it's fun having a PC, but you don't get to experience all of these wonderful console titles because they didn't make. I don't think they released Ghost of Tsushima on the PC, did they?
No, it's PS4 only. It's exclusive.
No. It's on Xbox too.
No, it's exclusive to PS4.
I gotta look it up. I'm mad.
Look it up. I'm looking at it right now. It is a PlayStation
Really?
exclusive. Yes, sir. Sucker Punch usually does do PlayStation exclusives. In fact, Cole from Infamous was one of the PlayStation All-Stars. Sly Cooper games and Infamous games, I'm pretty sure, were only on Sony consoles.
I'm dumb, dude. I'm so mad. I thought it was for X. I am so sorry, everybody.
So you Xbox gamers out there are really missing out.
Send your hate tweets to at Mr. Gio 96.
This is
don't send it to the.
This is why I'm a PlayStation gamer. Obviously, like I enjoy both. I think console wars as a concept is kind of dumb. I mean, you're gonna play based on what exclusives you like, but the exclusives that are released on PlayStation to me are the ones that are like the most solid, like 10 out of 10, perfect, near perfect games. You know what I mean? God of War,
Yep.
Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, the only exclusive that I really like on Xbox is the Halo series, and it's kind of taken a dip down too. It's not that good anymore. I hate Gears of War.
Okay,
I have always hated Gears of War. It's disgusting to me. And of course, a lot of the games that are supported on all consoles are fun, but PlayStation 4 exclusives just have such a beauty.
Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. Nah, Spider-Man's on the Wii, dude. Spider-Man PS4 is on the Wii. They made it in 2018 for the Nintendo Wii.
They made it back for the Wii.
It probably runs at like 5 FPS.
No, I was playing Other M, and I was actually surprised at how good the graphics looked for a Wii game.
Oh, dude, the opening sequence between you and Mother Brain and the baby. Oh my god.
I was surprised, like, because a lot of Wii games are look really shitty, but that game really pushed Skyward Sword.
And also, just piggybacking on Other M, the voice acting's terrible, especially like when you wake up and it's time to go training and the doctor's just like, okay, Samus, let's go next door.
Samus, what's going
kills
on?
me.
Respawn!
Oh man, that's probably not going to be. We're probably not going to say that together on the recording, but that's going to make it even more funny. Dude, the voice acting and the story in that game is so bad, but the gameplay is so much fun, dude. Oh, I'm so torn about that game.
Yeah,
but we're talking.
Ghost of Tsushima.
But execution wise, they did it almost flawlessly. It's such a good game. I love horseback riding in the game. One of my favorite things to do in games with a horse and a bow and arrow is to fire your bow from the back of the horse. They started it in Ocarina of Time, kept it going with Twilight Princess. They never did it in Skyward Sword. That would have been really cool if there were overworld enemies in the sky that you could have taken out with your bow. But in Ghost of Tsushima, you can literally start and gain an edge on fights from both standoffs and just riding in on horseback. Jump and taking out the first Mongol with a bow.
I love doing triangle for a critical hit from the sword, and time slows down for a brief second, and he goes, "Whoa!" It's so fucking cool, dude. Unfortunately,
Sorry.
Unfortunately, you can't use the bow in midair, but I guess that's supposed to be more realistic. I don't think most people are capable of doing that.
Dude. Yeah, no, they wanted to leave that to Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild, Horizon Zero Dawn, Assassin's Creed.
Hey, I haven't gotten far in Horizon Zero Dawn yet. Don't spoil it for me.
That's not a spoil that you can use your bow in midair. I'm glad that you're playing that, though. There's a good reason. I'm actually very glad that you're playing that, and we'll talk about that later. Hint, hint. What was I going to say? Okay, also the navigation system in this game. So the game opts for a more HUD-less view of the world. And there's no waypoints per se. Well, kind of. You can select options, but instead of being able to just see something clearly on a mini map or, get like a beacon or whatever, instead this game opts for a much more subtle traversal system, allowing you to follow the wind and let the wind guide you in a very divine wind kind of way, kamikaze.
It creates a much more immersive experience,
yes.
And it's something that makes the game that much better.
And very Kurosawa-y.
Kurosawa, we would like to play.
Dude, I fucking love those commercials.
Oh, dude, we're not going to talk about them. I'm glad they didn't make any stupid Switch commercials. But
we would like to play.
We would like that. Just knocking on the. We would like to play. If that happened, those two just show up at my house with a Wii. My face wouldn't be like, yeah, come on inside. I'd be like,
holy shit!
Yes, come inside now. Let's go.
No, for sure, dude. I like the overall parkour system as well. I like the traversal mechanics. Being able to use the grappling hook is actually really fun. And I love just how smooth the parkour is and the way that Gene kind of moves in between different sections on the cliff face or onto tree trunks and whatnot.
I would have liked dedicated moments in the game where you can literally just sit down and eat.
Oh,
that's just like a tiny little detail that I would have liked to have had. Because I thought about that. Because you collect a lot of materials.
Yeah.
Like hides and different kinds of metals. You collect food and stuff like that. And there are a bunch of side quests where you there's one side quest in particular where you literally have to go help a woman get her rice back from these Mongols that have taken it from her.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I want to sit down with her and have a bowl of rice. Why can't we just bool and have some rice?
Did you try to hunt any of the animals that weren't predators? Like the deer? I guess it's just the deer, really. You can't shoot the foxes.
No, dude. No, man. I just went through the story, but there were some times where I tried to take down bears. Bears are very hard to take out in this game. Bears and boars, boar bears, BBs,
kunai are the trick to dogs or any predators. Dogs, hawks, bears, and boars. Oh my!
Oh, I love kunai knives. There you go.
Kunai knives. Yeah, you can call them kunai knives. There are no shuriken in this game, but they do have kunai, which kunai were originally farming tools. So it actually kind of makes sense in the context of this game that Gene would be one of the characters one of the first Japanese to start utilizing those as weapons.
Oh, yeah.
And that was something that really happened. Like farmers, I guess, turned into, became ninja and started using farming weapons. The ninjato, as we know it, was not real though.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
The katana, the katana was the weapon of choice. I love the smoke bombs, the sticky bombs.
Sticky bombs are always a go-to.
It's like sticky grenades in Halo is basically what they're like, and you just stick them to one enemy and they're like, oh.
Oh, funny story to share. I know we're coming up on almost an hour here, but I got a funny little Halo story to share with you. I was playing Slayer on Halo 3, and there was a kid in my game on the enemy team, and his name was It in Megan Fox. I hit him with a plasma grenade, and he died, and the kill feed said, "You stuck it in Megan Fox." And I was very pleased with that outcome. I tried to kill him with plasma grenades like 3 or 4 times, just since we're talking about sticky bombs.
That's
Thought I'd
fucking
share that. It's beautiful, dude. And I was like, yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
That's like my friend who my cousin made his nickname on video games, 8 Babies. And I think I might have told you this before. I said this on the podcast before, but so basically
8 babies?
So basically every time you got killed, it'd be like, you got killed by 8 babies, or you killed 8 babies, you monster.
Oh man. God, I have so many jokes, but I can't tell them. I know we're a pretty loose podcast, but can't
too far. You'll have to tell me off the air then.
I will. I'll tell you off the air. So there's this. I'm just kidding.
So a samurai walks into a bar.
It gets knocked out instantly.
Okay, so as far as general reception go, obviously this game has gotten positive reviews all across the board. I mean, there's not even a lot to criticize here. I think some of the side quest content was not as well received, but I thought it was all flawless. I even like some of the more relaxing moments, the moments that like nothing, you're just composing a haiku or sitting in an onsen, a hot spring. But as far as sales go, this game was at the top of the download charts in both the States and Europe, and was the best-selling physical game in its first week of release in the UK. In Japan, this game was the best-selling game during its debut week. It remained in the top 30 best-selling games for over 15 consecutive weeks. Worldwide, it is the PlayStation 4's fastest-selling first-party original IP debut.
Congratulations, Sucker Punch. That's
Yeah.
huge. And that means that they will be in business to create beautiful video games for years to come.
Yeah, and I think we mentioned before, it got players' voice in the Game Awards 2020. It was what most players, and I think it was like by a margin of like 70% of people believed that of players voted for Ghost of Tsushima, which I kind of felt like Last of Us Part 2 really did get a bad rap against it. I'm glad that Last of Us Part 2 won the Game Awards because it really deserved it, but this game would have honestly been just as equal of a recipient on my end.
Oh yeah.
It did win Best Art Direction as well. I believe that
Quasimodo.
Quasimoto. I was gonna say Kazuya Nagai, but no, I believe it was his English actor Daisuke Tsuji. Also got Best Performer. He was nominated. Sorry, it didn't win, but it was nominated for Best Game Direction, Best Narrative. Like we said before, the Famitsu awarded it Game of the Year, and still is pending nominations in the 2021 DICE Awards. So we'll see how that goes.
Good. Yeah. Dude, if it wins, it's probably going to become one of the best story games of all time if it continues just picking up nominations and awards like this. Because, yes, The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2 were breathtaking, but Ghost of Tsushima is just satisfying in every way. The Last of Us Part 2 left you very sad at the end of the game. Very, very sad. But it was beautiful, and it was extremely well done.
Yeah. Bro, this game won awards before it even came out. In 2018, it won Special Commendation for Graphics and for Sound in the Game Critics Awards. How about that? But it is officially the first American game to win Famitsu's Game of the Year award. So what an achievement.
Yeah, Sucker Punch will be celebrating this one for a long time.
And if they don't make a sequel, then, I mean...
we riot.
You know what I'm saying? But...
Oh yeah.
Oh God, this game was so great. So what do you think? We kind of got into this a little bit earlier, but where could this game go in the future? Is there more DLC down the road? Because we did get the Legends DLC, which is basically their multiplayer component. We kind of voiced our opinions on that. I liked it. I thought it was okay, but obviously the main story just completely outshines it for me.
When you execute and perform a story this well, adding multiplayer is just kind of,
it's a bonus, I guess.
It's like. It's a bonus, but it's really nothing special because multiplayer is multiplayer. It's just a way for players to interact with each other, and it wasn't really as smooth as I wanted it to be, but that doesn't take away from the story from me at all. So, in the future, I think that if they do make a sequel, they're going to have to execute the beginning of the game absolutely flawlessly. Yeah. 100%. But with this game, I don't think they should have a problem with that. I think they could do a whole adventure where he does take all of Japan and he can protect it from further Mongol invasions, and they can add to the story and just make it so much more intense. I think they can play really, really hard on the fact that Jin is an outlaw and that he is a legend. He's the ghost of Tsushima, and the game could focus a lot more on cornering you, trying to make you succumb to the pressure that's around you, but in doing so, further like christening the name Ghost of Tsushima. Like the more adversaries you take down and the more challenges you face in best, the more legendary you become, and by the end of the second game you could basically be a god to these people.
I think Jin's well on his way to becoming a legendary hero like Tadayori or any of the other legends that you play in the game through. But I think a DLC story expansion of this game would be great, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I that would be absolutely astounding. I would love to see this game go. Like maybe the DLC could go into kind of the expanding to mainland Japan or something. But I'm really thinking that we're gonna have to wait for a sequel if the sequel is announced. Which, again, I think Sucker Punch would be dumb not to. If they didn't want to continue Jin's journey, they could really just do another game set in Kamakura era Japan. I mean, I wouldn't be mad, but
Not at all.
I would love to see Jin kind of move toward and taking part in some of the other parts of the Mongol invasion of Japan. And I mean, I think that this game could go in a lot more places. I'm trying to think about what else they could do with the gameplay. Maybe expanding his already existing set of moves to be even better. But
Yep. Oh yeah. Like there's so much you could do. Like they start the sequel with all of your moves that you already have, and then they just add an entire new skill tree.
yeah,
And it's like the art of the ninja. At that point, you can start to use shuriken. You can start to like do a lot more stealth. You start getting ninja garbs instead of, armor and stuff like that. There's so much that they could do. But Ghost of Tsushima is an absolutely amazing experience, and Ash and I have both absolutely loved diving into this game. It is just, it's breathtaking.
You're breathtaking.
Honestly, I'm almost at a loss for words. Your mom goes to college.
that was Keanu Reeves thing. You're breathtaking.
No, you're breathtaking.
But yeah, no, this game kicks ass. If you haven't played it and you have a PlayStation 4, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. This game is honestly one of the best games I have ever played. It is phenomenal, and I can't get enough of it. Like, the replayability on this is insane. I can't believe that I'm finding I'm wanting to play through the entire story all over again.
Yes, sir.
And maybe just kind of breathe in the scenery a little bit more, because when I first started the game, I was kind of in a rush. I was trying to get through it as quickly as possible with the story, but part of that was also I just really wanted to get to get the ghost armor, and I really wanted to expand Jin's moveset as a stealth. So that was kind of my focus but it doesn't end up happening till 2/3 into the game. But
Oh yeah.
and some of the moments in this game just I don't know if I'll ever get over Taka. That was just horrifying.
No, dude. Fuck Koton for that, dude. Honestly, he just literally did it to set an example as punishment, dude.
But whenever you fight Koton at the end, like it's on, dude. You're like, fuck this guy, and you fight him in a duel and you beat him, and that bitch runs away. So you go fight him on the ship, and and it is so good. I just remember feeling it and being like, no. Fuck you, I'm gonna kill you.
Oh yeah, beheading him and leaving him to die on that ship was just the greatest feeling ever. And I feel horrible for saying that, but it's the truth.
It's the truth. But what a well-developed villain, by the way. I mean, just amazing, because he came across as someone who was not completely unreasonable. In his very first cutscene with Lord Shimura, he's like, you've done well, brother. I can tell that you've faced your whole life for this. You've trained your whole life for this, and you're a good warrior. You've won unwinnable battles. So he's smart, and he took the time to learn the Japanese language and train all of his warriors and their traditions and their customs. So what an awesome, well-developed character. But you just also hate his guts, because fuck that guy.
Oh yeah, he's a really good villain. He kind of makes you feel for him a little bit, but in the end, The bitch is dead.
What I like is in some of the lore that some of the records that you collect throughout the game, there's this ongoing story with this Japanese scribe who is interviewing and talking with Koten. Over the course of that, actually begins to admire him, and his very last letter is basically like, "Fuck you, Gene, and your other band of warriors who brought down the greatest man who ever lived." And I was like, damn.
Yep.
This was a Japanese guy who
Yep.
felt that way and felt that he was an awesome Lord Shimura. Again, just a really awesome character. On one hand, he's your uncle and you love him, but on the other hand, you're like, dude, like, you're stuck in the past. This is not right, But even at the end, he didn't want to kill Gene. At the end, he wanted, neither one of them wanted to do what they had to do, and Gene himself is an excellent character. I know we're kind of at the end here, but I just feel like we didn't really get into the characters. Yuna.
No, it's all good. It's all good, dude. Yuna. Yep. Taka.
Kenji.
Kenji.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we've already.
Kenji was cool. He was just the character who meant well, but just found himself in trouble all the time. And Sensei Ishikawa and Lady Masako, both of whom have deep flaws, but ultimately are respectable characters who are with Gene till the end.
We can't forget about Sensei Ishikawa.
Yeah, a very deeply flawed man, but in the end, a good
Very
man.
so.
And I think the same thing with Lady Masako.
Yep.
And the character of Tomoe, who you get to find throughout who you get to interact with throughout the story. And I guess you didn't do the side quest, so you didn't really get to see Tomoe's story, but that's actually a really interesting conclusion.
Yep. And then there's also the caretaker. What's
Yuriko.
Yuriko? There you go.
That's heartbreaking actually. She helps you and she makes the poison for you, but if you follow her side quest to its logical conclusion, I mean it is kind of sad. And there's those hints of Alzheimer's or dementia throughout when you're playing through her chain.
Yep.
So I saw it coming. But anyway, I guess we're kind of said all there is to say. Well, no, definitely not. There's so much more we could say, but we're running up on an hour here on part 2. Any final thoughts about Ghosts of Tsushima, Zach?
I think it's definitely a game that I will go through again and invest a lot of time in once I have, room to breathe. But it's just, it took my breath away. The story is just incomparable to a lot of other games that just, there have been a lot of games that I've played in my life where the story has just impacted and moved me, like Skyward Sword, Fallen Order. But this game, the story is just impeccable. It's definitely a glimpse into the future of the capability of games, and I'm very, very excited for what's to come. This game, it's a 9.5 out of 10 for me. The 0.5 being that it's not longer. Yeah, you should really invest some time into it because it's a breathtaking experience.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, I'm going to have to pretty much echo almost everything that you said, but this game in terms of gameplay, in terms of story and direction, art, everything about it is just incredible. There's not a single thing that this game does bad or subpar in any way. It is the definition of an almost flawless game. I mean, it if this isn't, then what is? And on top of that, it's fun. It's so fun. I found myself just completely addicted and wanting to play it more and more. I was wanting to play this early on in this season. From that very opening segment, I was just blown away, and I kept wanting to play more. And so I'd sneak a little bit in, even though I was supposed to be playing something else for the upcoming episode, because God, this game was good. I think I got pretty much into Act 2 before, we actually started preparing for this episode. And so that was good. I've been playing the hell out of this. I even played a little bit just now, kind of started over in easy mode to see how quickly I could get through the story. Just really quickly.
Yep. And even really quickly, it will take about 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
If you're grinding.
Right.
'Cause it's a long game. And that you have to dedicate like 5 or 6 hours a day to just grinding the main story. It's a long one, but it's good. It's well worth the time.
But I found myself lost in it. Like I would play for hours. I could play all day and still have shit to do. And it just and I can say I beat this game at 100%. I did everything that this game had to offer in the first playthrough, and all of it was worth it. I had an amazing time with it. Tracking down some of those last few collectibles was kind of a chore, but at the same time, I'm glad that I did.
Yeah, because you never have to do it again, and also you have it. It's done.
Done. Yes.
It's done. Just like this podcast episode, here and about whenever.
Alrighty. Well, you can find Collateral Gaming wherever you get your podcasts. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Pandora. Anywhere else, we're focusing on getting on even more platforms. If there's somewhere where we're not, let us know. You can find us on social media channels at C Gaming Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, C Gaming Podcast on Facebook as well, or just search up Collateral Gaming. You'll find us. We are on YouTube, which is where we are releasing our Patreon content. You have to subscribe to the Patreon, but any amount will give you links to our YouTube playlists where you can check out our Let's Play video game commentaries. We have a lot of fun with those. We're also getting some of our video podcasts out on YouTube over time. I hope that I'll have more time to do that in the future. And what can we expect next on Collateral Gaming?
My friends, we are going to be talking about Metroid Fusion.
Yes.
And that is exciting because that is the first Metroid game I ever played. And I am very, very much looking forward to this discussion. It's going to be a two-parter, and that's okay because we're going to have a lot to say, and you're not going to want to miss it. So when we get it out, take a gander.
Hell yeah. I'm really excited too because Metroid Fusion is one of my favorite Metroid games as well. I've always found myself just really lost in that game and wanting to play more and more and more and more. It's just that every time I've ever played it, I've always had like a crash or something. Like my emulator I use stopped working. But that being said, I have played quite a bit of it through it now on the Virtual Console. I have a legitimate copy. And I've pretty much almost got through most of the game in a day. So besides all of the extra stuff, and I'll 100% it for sure. But we'll be talking about that next time. Now we did promise that we were going to do Apex Legends. So in keeping to that promise, because this was kind of a last minute swap out, we are going to be doing a bonus round focused on Apex. Just so we can say that we talked about it. We just felt that it wasn't going to be as fun for us to do like a whole kind of two-parter on it. And we really felt that a game like... We haven't actually done a full episode on a Metroid game yet. So it was kind of the perfect opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and Apex is a game where we don't really need two parts to cover the whole thing. We can... Honestly, I'm thinking that me and Ash could probably play the game while we're recording. Like, while we're podcasting, we can both set it up and just play Apex.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, that would be cool, actually. I think it would be an interesting experiment. Following that, because that'll be coming up in March, we're kind of running a little bit late on our schedule as planned, but after that is April, which, of course, as y'all know, is our 420 month, so we'll go ahead and announce it right now. Our 420 special is going to be Minecraft. Yes. And we're also going to be talking about Mortal Kombat because the Mortal Kombat movie is coming up. So we're doing kind of a collaboration, which was originally planned in January, but the movie was moved. So new Mortal Kombat movie is supposed to come out in April. So we're going to be doing a collaboration with Collateral Cinema where we talk about it, that movie. We're going to do an At the Movies episode, but we're also going to talk about, on the flip side, we're going to do a Mortal Kombat 11 episode. And I think we'll also have like kind of a bonus round focused around that as well, just to keep in the spirit. So that's all planned for April. We've got a tight schedule, but we're working to kind of get that out and make sure that we have some kind of content to produce weekly. If you didn't check out our previous collaboration with Collateral Cinema on movie tie and video games, that's out on our podcast platforms right now. Bo and I really got into something that's the opposite of what we usually do, which is movies based on games. We did games that were based on movies, and that was a lot of fun. We talked about a lot of our favorites and a lot of the more shitty ones. Other than that, guys, we hope that y'all are staying safe. We hope that you are having fun.
Staying healthy.
Yep. Staying happy.
Yeah.
There was something else I was going to say and I forgot. Oh, Collateral Cinema. Yes. Speaking of Collateral Cinema, we're going to have our anniversary special out on Gozu. That should already be out by the time that this is out. So go check that out. Zach wants to be on one of our upcoming episodes.
Yes, God, we're going to talk about Hot Tub Time Machine. Yes! Oh, I love that movie so much. I can't wait.
And if you didn't check out our last episode on Mulholland,
man, it's going to be a good time.
Mulholland Drive, David Lynch's Mulholland Drive, that's out as well. I guess we're kind of at it now, so Anything else to say to our audience?
No, man. They have received my words of wisdom, and they will take them, or they will not. Their decision.
All right, folks. Well, you heard it there. I'm Ashley Chancellor.
And I am Jin Sakai. I'm just kidding. I'm Zachary Gio.
And we are Collateral Gaming. We are out. Sayonara. Collateral Gaming is a Collateral Media podcast. All music and game clips are owned by their respective creators and are used for educational purposes only. Please don't sue us. We're poor.